part.
Thank you, Steph. A new Canadian study shining a light on how Canadians are imagining a new future of work. 68% revealing that the lockdown experience has shown that working from home with the right technology is more productive than working in an office. Joining us this morning to take us through the survey as well as its findings is VP of Citrix Canada, Ed Rodriguez. Good morning to you, Ed.
Hi, good morning, Melanie. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I think a lot of people are probably agreeing with some of the results of this survey. So take us through for some of the parameters, who you talk to, and what they do.
Absolutely. I mean, the survey was actually a worldwide survey, but it had a high concentration of Canadians. In fact, I think we had over 1,000 respondents from Canada that really reported about how COVID-19 crisis is reshaping the corporate landscape and how the technology will play in the future. I think, a few of the key stats and things that were really interesting to me is, if you looked at the pre-pandemic side of the house, very few roles were remote. In fact, I think as we surveyed across the 1,000, less than 3 days a month was the actual average for people who work from home. And now, obviously, we went through a period of time where it was 100% of the roles, and now we're starting to see that shift back where, some percentage of people are coming back to work. However, the mindset is significantly different, and 62% of employees are now considering the office mainly a place for exchange and collaboration, and 42% really want to see a more flexible work model that kind of allows them to switch between their home and their office and really stitching their lives a little bit differently together.
And Ed, I know at the beginning of all of this, there were so many questions, and one of them being was efficiency, whether or not people could get work done. And the answer is actually it's not as bad as many thought.
No, not at all, Melanie. You're absolutely correct. I mean, that 68% number you mentioned early on, it's exactly right. And what it comes down to is the right technology is allowing people to be more productive than when working in an office. And, most of these people now, over half of them, prefer to actually work from home more frequently. And obviously has some downsides associated with, having to have children at home in some cases and some of those distractions, but really the upsides of saving on the commute time, allowing them to really spend their most productive hours focused on work is allowing them to really be productive and allowing employers to really rethink the purpose of a workplace.
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons, of course. Pros being able to have that human interaction, face-to-face human interaction, and be able to create the work mode, as you can say. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, it's a bit of a distraction, isn't it? So I know you surveyed a number of people who said they were able to do different things. Managing their time was very key. Maybe more people taking up exercising, saving money by, making lunches at home.
Absolutely. I think to your point, you're stitching life now together with when and how you work. And when work becomes, a thing that you do, not a place that you go, that's when you really get that opportunity to, whether it be sneak that quick workout in, spend that extra 5 or 10 minutes with their children during, regular working hours, work in their home lunch. But on the other side of the equation, the folks that really care about climate and climate change, they're seeing huge savings in the reduction in the commute time, which is a time back to them, but overall, the carbon emittance that comes from the typical commute that we see every single day. And as we know, the Greater Toronto Area has got a lot of that.
Absolutely. And so a big storyline that we're going to be watching, of course, is rent, commercial rent, the different spaces, whether or not they're going to sit empty, what those leases will look like as we look toward the different model. And as your survey has been showing, a lot of people are hoping that this work from home model, if not full time, at least part time, can be the way of the foreseeable future. But we'll see all of that. What is one thing that surprised you when you did this survey?
I think what was surprising is just the overall mind shift, not just from the employees, but from the employers themselves. So, you've got employees who are thinking about going back to work, and they're employers that are starting to work on their phased reopenings. And, the employees have a lot of concerns on how rapid and how easily spread COVID-19 can be, especially in those enclosed and densely populated spaces. And so as a result of that, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of apprehension around that, and the employers themselves are taking notice on that. And so they're retrofitting some of their offices. They're thinking to be a bit more digital forward in terms of, when you do need to go to the office, is everything done with touch-free sensors? Is there capacity management? Do they have the proper type of cleaning sophistication needed to ensure that when employees do come back, and whether that just be for collaboration purposes or for a regular role, that they feel safe doing that.
That's it.
So I think that's a big thing.
I wish we had more time, Ed, here. Some really interesting findings. I appreciate your time this morning. That's Ed Rodriguez with Citrix Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.